Wait. Who the hell is Danny Lee? And why is she singing about light-skinned women are more attractive?
Who?
Oh God, I don't know. I just popped up on my time. See, Latif, see what happens when you leave me alone while you searching for
recording. We are recording.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, cool. So welcome back, people. Happy New Year.
What's up?
Whatever.
What's up?
We're back. Black Men Talk. Latif, Keith, and Otis and myself. So we're going to talk about what happened at the Capitol, why white people went off. Latif found this new platform, so we're using this. We're going to be using this for the rest of the, however many things we do. We're going to use this. And yeah, let's go around, introduce ourselves, and say what's happening in the new year for you. So let's start with Otis.
Otis.
You're on mute.
My man, I'm new to this.
Come on, black man.
Oh man, my name's Otis. I'm a artist. I'm a poet and I'm a writer. And I'm currently writing for Revolutionary Education Action and Dialogue. Currently hoping 2029 will see a publication from us, from the group.
All right.
By writing and hopefully the collective of the black. Come on. I apologize for that.
You gotta love kids.
Hopefully we see some writing, not just from my perspective as a black disabled man, but from the collective as well.
All right. Keith, go ahead. You're next.
What's good, my peoples? I am Keith Jones, aka Keith Jones. So what has been going on since the last time I talked? Soul Touching Experiences has now formalized itself as an LLC. We've been dealing with everything we're about to talk about, so I'm gonna keep that close to the chest until we get deep into the conversation. But how y'all people doing?
Doing good. All right. Latif, you want me to go next? Sorry. Yeah, go next. So, Leroy Moore here. I'm doing okay. I'm finally back in my place after 2 months of being out because of landlord and bed bugs and all that kind of stuff. So I'm back home. Hopefully moving soon, I hope. But anyway, back here, New Year's, same thing, different color, I guess. I'm doing good, writing. Doing good though. Latif.
Hello, I am Latif Cloud, and I am a doctoral candidate in anthropology and social change department at California Institute of Internal Studies in San Francisco. I was asked to be a co-author to a chapter 2A. Text book about AAC.
Awesome.
So, be on lookout for that Hello, I am Lateef McLeod, and I am a doctoral candidate in anthropology and social change department at California Institute of Integral Studies in San Francisco. I was asked to be a co-author to a chapter to a textbook about AAC, so be on the lookout for that.
Awesome. That's what's up.
Congratulations. All right. So this, this little main talk, we're going to talk about what happened at the Capitol. Of course, people know. Talk about that and talk about our so-called new president. So, who wants to kick it off?
Oh joy! I'll do it. All right. Well, I'm gonna just state what I've stated offline to y'all, and I'm gonna say publicly. What you saw was America. Like everybody's all caught up. Like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, there's two things that I saw when I watched, because I watched it. I watched it unfold. So did you? I don't know if y'all saw the rolling shitstorm that was whiteness in America storming over the Capitol, but you could see, I think what's so infuriating. I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. I think what's more maddening to me is that prior to that, Black folks had been hyped up on the Democratic Jews, hyped up on, let's go get this done. Let's get this white man out because he's crazy. And then in the process, we did, they do yeoman's work. Black women turn Georgia blue. They do all these things. These are the narrative threats. And literally, the moment they get power of the Senate, the House, and the presidency, and they're like, let's impeach him because he tried to storm an insurrection and we were almost dead. Well, I mean, if we impeach him, this is Democrats. So am I shocked that white folks ran into the Capitol? No. Am I shocked that they were let in by the police? No. Am I shocked that they stormed and looked and were hanging and brought a guillotine and a noose? No. Am I shocked that right now they just delivered one article of impeachment and then delayed the trial 2 weeks because they're not sure if they can walk and chew gum at the same time? No. But I hope for the rest of the country, you now are weaned off of this toxic two-party Jews, because when they had guns coming for them, they still are debating on whether or not they're going to follow through. So I'm agnostic at this point.
All right. Otis, take it away.
Yeah, completely with Keith on this one. Like, to me, it's an insult to pretend to be shocked. Like, it's an insult to the Black suffrage. I don't even think just the Black suffrage. I think the women's suffrage as well, as much issue I might have with that. I think to the LGBTQ suffrage as well, as much issues I might have with that, right? Like, for you to act like this display of violence is antithetical to us when they have consistently displayed violence to all of these other groups outside of particularly white men outside of literally white men, then you say, oh, well, this is not America. When? Why did you tell me at what time have America and violence been separate? Like I think ever since America been in existence, we have been at war more than we've been at peace. And even the times we've been at peace, they call it freedom operations, but they don't even classify it as war. So I think we so dumb by simply renaming war, it doesn't count. Right? So like to me, for people to make violence in America antithetical or scratch that. For people to make violence and European colonialism and European domination antithetical is an issue for me. It's the same issues I have with you separating violence from America. It's the same issue I have with you separating violence from France. It's the same issue I have with you separating violence from Britain. The same issue I have with you separating violence from the Christian church. The same issue I have with you separating violence from Catholicism. Right? Like everything that these people have established has been built off of violence, and now you want to sit here and act brand new. Meanwhile, you like one of my friends on Facebook. How come you got African warlords as a thing, but Africa have never used to war or any European nation, but yet there is no European warlord, and
No.
every the main one's going to war, right? So to me, to make black people the face or non-whites the face of violence, and then to act shocked when white people engage in violence, to me it's antithetical, it's historic, it's ahistorical, and it's an insult. I can be violent, but they can't, and when they are violent, then you want to pretend to be shocked. And then you wanna state the obvious all day. Oh my God, if it was black people doing it, they would have been shot. Okay, can we move on?
Yeah,
Like we know this. Like, we know this. Like, you're not giving me nothing new. You're not stimulating my thought process whatsoever. You're stating the obvious. But yeah, I'll add more on that later. But
Okay, Latif, can I go? Are you want to go? Can I go? For me, I was like, finally. I was like, yeah, when people tear it down, tear it down. I was like, yeah, do it, do it. You know, I think, dude, Trump told us he got in that he's going to do this. He told us that he could stand in New York or Manhattan and shoot somebody and get away with it. So I was like, all right, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. For me, it's not my fight. I care less what they do, what they go to jail or have a party downtown. I truly don't care. Because this is only the beginning. I was like, all right, let's do it again. Let's do it tomorrow. Because the government had it coming to them for years. I mean, white, black, brown, yellow. People do these stuff in the government every day.
Yes.
Because, the way that they treat people is like a shame. Of course, these people were totally off the wall, and, but what I'm not surprised, and I'm not surprised that they're not gonna get nothing. Even get slapped on the wrist. I'm not surprised about that, and I'm not surprised that the Democrats wants to move on like nothing happened. I'm not surprised, So for me, I'm not surprised of all of it, and I'm not surprised that our media, our politicians, even our activists want to spend all the time on this. I was like, dude, we're dying of COVID. Unemployment is shot up to unemployment is nuts now. you know, and you want to deal with this, you know. I mean, I understand a lot of impeachment because they don't want Trump to run again, but you know, dude, it's not my fight. That's all. It's not my fight, and dude, I see black people, you know, houseless. I mean, 90% of all the houseless people in this country are black disabled men. 90%.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, you know, this little what they call insurrection or taking over the government is like finally, I was like, God damn, what took you so long? So anyway, Lakeith.
Think you're on mute.
So the attempted coup at the Capitol was a culmination of the white fascist momentum that was on the rise since the civil rights movement, but really since the Confederacy. There has always been a segment of the American white populace who is against the political advancement of people of color, especially black people. Also, America has been sponsoring coups all over the world. I think Malcolm X has a comment that deals with this something about chickens.
Yeah.
I remember correctly, I think Malcolm X is the comment that deals with this. Something about chickens, if I remember correctly.
Why, yes, brother. The quote was, chickens coming home to roost. It's a paraphrase, it's a parable. Everybody and their mama was like, you know, because when they saw it, everybody was like, the chicken's coming home to roost. And I'm chuckling to myself, right? I'm sitting there, and like you said, I'm sitting there going, wait. Let me get this right. So you mad, and you burning down the shit that's yours. Because the lie that you wrote on the paper about all men being created equal is actually being like people are actually trying to live that now. So you mad, and so what you're going to do is just run and burn the shit down because you didn't really mean all people. You didn't mean all. You really meant white men. And what's so tragic about this is that it's not even that there was in our lifetime in the last 18 months, which is saying something about being black in America, we've seen shit that we've never seen before. We've seen shit that we had heard about, we've never seen before. They had a armed insurrection at the nation's capital. Now, it wasn't that they had an armed insurrection, it was that it was aided and abetted by those that were on the inside. And everybody and their mama like, Lord Jesus, Lord. The crazy folks stormed the door. They didn't storm the door. They were invited in.
Yeah.
And if you and here is where people are going to where their buttholes will get tight about that statement. But let's be clear. We have opinions, but it's profited and propped up by quantifiable and qualifiable data. 2006, 2009, 2013. Independent reports have indicated that white supremacist groups had infiltrated not just the military, but all the armed services and all police departments and every form of law enforcement, which is ironic considering white supremacy is in every form of government, but that's a whole nother, we'll talk about that later. I just think it's kind of funny how if you watch now, you see the indignation, Chuck Schumer, oh my God, they were 30 feet away from me and we were going to get shot. Like, you sons of bitches ain't considered about none of the police who ran over them kids just a week ago. They just had a young man that had a mental health, wellness check. The police weren't on the scene 2 minutes, shot that man dead. In the pandemic, we are still Black and still being murdered at the hands of white law enforcement who were part of the insurrection. So,
Keith.
Yes, what? I didn't tell no lies.
America don't give a fuck. The only reason that they give a fuck is that they came to their house.
Look.
To their house. That's it.
Well, then let's be clear. They don't give a fuck. And they don't give a fuck that they were in the house. Because if they were in the house, and y'all know this, Otis, Leroy, Lateef, if you want to see white folks really care, try to take their money. Right? Like what you saw was a bunch of angry people that were hyped up on Donald Trump's nut juice. But you didn't see, if you want to see real white rage, try to really make America what they said it is. Because that was only some white rage. That wasn't like real white rage. White rage is really passive. It's denying you, Leroy, and access to get into a new apartment. It's denying you, Lateef, the ability to get into a cab. It's denying you, Otis, the ability to go rent an apartment or buy a house. It's denying me a small business loan. And then cloaking it in, well, you didn't have the right credit, you don't have long enough rental history, you don't have enough assets. That's the people, it's easy to see them storming the Capitol and being mad. That's not white rage. White rage is codified in law and in practice.
That's why when people say it was an inside job, I'm like, okay, but explain to me what's not an inside job.
Right.
Like, your resume getting thrown away because you got a Black name is an inside job. You working outside of your job description, you getting denied that promotion is an inside job. As you
Right.
said, you not getting that business loan from the bank or being redlined and got paid twice as high for mortgage is an inside job. The police getting off for Black execution, the media justifying it, it's all an inside job. So I think you probably had an easier chance articulating for me exactly what's not inside job versus trying to what is. And to add to your comment, Keith, what Malcolm said about the chickens coming home to roost.
Mm-hmm.
You know who he meant that for?
Yes, it wasn't for them.
He meant that for Kennedy.
Yeah.
You know the beloved president.
Oh yeah.
The liberal president. Well, if you look up the speech, the Rochester speech of 1965, he was the reason why he was talking about Kennedy after his assassination is because of the assassination of Patrice Lumumba out of the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Yes.
Well, he was saying how our government, as you said, we create coups everywhere in the world. So everything, as Diallo Kenyatta said, what Trump supporters did in the Capitol is everything the U.S. do.
Yeah.
So this is not new by a long shot.
No.
It's not legalized, as they say. So because it wasn't legalized, it's bad. And that's why I said, Black people, we really don't know what good and evil is. Our definition of evil is wherever it's not approved by the state. So as long as the state sanctions the violence, we're cool with it. So as long as the state says it's okay to give you that document information, then you Captain America, right? If the state don't approve it, you Red Skull, right? You the villain. You Red Skull. They didn't say okay.
I can't.
I'm just like, since we looking at history based off of some goddamn comic book, this is the good guy and this is the bad guy. Why not? Let's run with it. Right? Like all you gotta do is get the evil villain Trump out of office, and then we all save the day. Right? Like forgetting that anti-blackness pre-existed Trump. Let's forget about that. Let's forget about exploitation pre-existed Trump. Let's forget about that. Forget about police brutality. Let's forget about even the way the immigration is treated with the cages. And I'm sick and tired of people making Trump the face of immigration and kids being locked up. Because like I said, that is a $1 billion industry. Do you not know how many companies are benefiting on life? And when you overly focus on Trump, you completely miss the nuances. You completely miss how much Amazon is making off the back end, how much Walmart is making off the back end, how much all of these Fortune 500 companies are making off the back end, strictly to focus on Trump. And that's why I say this overly understanding of the world, where we look at things through comic book lens. All we gotta do is kill Osama bin Laden, and the world is saved. Right? All we gotta do is kill the Gaddafi, and the world is saved. Or whoever the new boogeyman that will come tomorrow, and the world is saved. Right? That is so asinine. We gotta stop looking at the world through this comic book lens. I mean, even the way they describe World War II, where you got the Allied powers against the axis of evil. You can't get no more comic book than that. I'm sorry. You can't get no more comic book than that. And then the Allied powers, if you really examine their history, they got more blood on their hands than the axis of evil. But we ain't gonna talk about that though.
No, because see, if you talk about that, and Latif, I'm gonna let you jump in. If you talk about that, one of the things that we have to discuss, and I'm gonna drop the bomb here, is how we as the black people have constructed our blackness in America. Because blackness in America, the concept of blackness, and I'm positing this because it's juxtaposition whiteness. Our blackness is in response to a larger definition of whiteness. Because we were not black, we were Moors, we were Hutu, we were Tutsi, we were those. We were not black. Black is a social construct, and so and that's fine. And so I'm black. I'll embrace it, love it, because our black culture now is a result of residual strength, because we were in chattel slavery here. We managed to forge an existence in oppression and forge a culture out of that oppression, and still keep it moving forward. And so when you see the juxtaposition of, and so when people go, oh, if there was 100 black people, but yes, it's in the books. If niggas get on these steps, kill them. That's like it's in the book. Like if niggas get on the steps, kill them. If white men come in, then just let them pass. And that's not hyperbole. That's not, an opinion. If you stand there and say January 6, 2021, June 6, 2020, diametrically opposed responses, diametrically opposed groups, same authority and power. You tell me. So, but I was not surprised.
Hey, Latif, can I add one more thing before you go? Beyond the Capitol, what got me is that after this election, we're bringing, the Democrats going to have, the power of the Senate, House, everything. But we're sending people to die because we're sending Democrats that's going to sit next to a Republican that refused to wear a mask. So it's like 3 Democrats came up with COVID because
yes.
I'm not going to no office. I'm not working from home. All right, you can figure something. I mean, we are so glad. I can't. I think Black Me is like so glad that what happened to Georgia. We split Georgia. It's like, what was sending a black representative to a place where the Republicans refused to wear a mask? But Washington, I mean, the White House was like a hotbed of COVID.
Yes.
Because the fucking Republicans refuse to wear masks. I mean, this is not only Donald Trump, the whole fucking party refused to wear a mask. So you're seeing a black new politician, sort of the progressive and all that stuff, is sitting next to a man that's not wearing a mask. I mean, it's mind blowing.
Go ahead, Latif. You ready?
But you know there were successful coups inside America. Look up the insurrection of Wilmington, North America in 1898. A group of white people went on a rampage sponsored by the Democrat Party, basically because black people were getting some political power in the community. So they've been doing this.
Dude, you just stated American history like yesterday. Like that's exactly the point. Like you going back 1800, you went back 100 some years, and the irony I think what's so maddening for me, I'll just say for me, is not that we have these discussions. It's that there's a certain level of comfort that people have in recycling black rage. Like there's a certain level of comfort. There's a certain level of, oh fuck that, they killing us, they killing us. Well, here's a sponsorship. Hey, they're not killing us that much, right? Versus, okay, listen, if you really are talking about political power, then you can't just be blind to the candidates that you're supporting. You can't just rush behind a D or an R or blue or a color when you stand back and say, the reason Bill Clinton had to run the Southern strategy is because the Dixiecrats left the party. If you're talking, the reason the Obama coalition worked and he did not talk about race was because he didn't lean into his race.
Yeah.
The reason that Joe Biden got the black people all excited is because he put an AKA Soroy on his ticket. Up until she wasn't a viable presidential candidate, she wasn't quite black. She was black, kinda. Up until the infamous Breakfast Club interview where she was like, I was listening to Dr. Fakes in the 85, smoking weed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude. Like, first of all, they wasn't in college by then. And in 85, whatever. But when we get into these situations, so the storming of the Capitol, people are like, oh, the insurrection, the riot. Like, this is how you talking about the media, right? Like when you talk about the cosign, the cosign is simple. Don't even think about it. Just listen to how you're receiving your news. Nobody has said, was it a riot? Was it a storming of the Capitol? Was it an insurrection? Now, because depending on which news channel you'll listen to, well, the rioters, or they'll call them protesters. Now, everybody on this call, I ask is dead if the police show up and we anything other than compliant. And even then we dead. So the fact that the narrative is squishy, the fact that you have significant members of the Democratic Party being squishy about this, the fact that you spent an entire summer about defund the police and unequal justice, and the largest demonstration of unequal justice took place in the nation's capital. And you know what we're doing? We're talking about the same shit we talked about a year ago. Unequal justice in America. And I honestly, I like you said, Leroy, it's not my fight. But the problem is, it ain't our fight. But we the ones catching all the bullets. And so it's a conundrum. Either sit on the sideline and get killed, or get into the fight and get killed. What we supposed to do?
That's why y'all gonna have to forgive me if I cuss. It's just I'm quoting the scholar. He cussed.
No, go for it.
Fred Morton in his book or his co-author book, I guess I should say, the undercommons, he spoke on allyship. He said, I don't need no allies. I need you to understand that white terrorism is fucking up my livelihood as it is yours. I need you
Yes.
to understand it is as just as a detriment to you as it is to you. So I don't need you to sit around and hold hands when you talk about let's be a partner in this. No, you need to fight for your own vested security. Because guess what? The same planet I'm living on that Fortune 500 companies are undermining, right? Due to extracting resources but putting nothing back. You got to live on that same planet. Right?
Right.
Guess what? You know how not Fortune 500 companies, Wall Street is trying to privatize water now and put water on the stock market. Well, guess what? I believe you need water too to live. Do you not? Right? You know them jobs that I'm being denied for today, I'm being unemployed today, and being replaced by AI technology. Well, I understand you will need jobs to feed your family as well. And
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Bezos is not just taking tax dollars out the black community, but also taking tax dollars out the white community as well. So it's like, yes, when you look at me, when you look at the black body, the elms of society is more exacerbated.
Right.
It's more obvious, right? But it impacts you just as bad. And you might get tangible benefits from it temporarily. But you gotta understand, in the long run, your kids go pay for this. Your kids go pay for this. Their kids go pay for this. Because they not gonna have a plan on either. Right?
Right.
So don't think you gotta link up to dismantle capitalism, dismantle anti-blackness. So don't get me wrong, right? I want to bring up to your point where you said blackness was born out of response to whiteness. To an instance, that's true, because that's what I'm going to write about Afro-pessimism. So Afro-pessimism argues anti-blackness is the foundation of Western society. So it says that anti-blackness or racism is not an option, it's a necessity.
Oh,
There's a difference between being an option versus being a necessity. A lot of anti-racists will argue, well, these people just don't know no better, right? And if we educate them out of their biases, then they will modify their behavior and thus dismantle the system institution. While alpha pessimism argues a system itself was predicated on anti-blackness. So as long as the system itself exists, anti-blackness exists. And because the system is a culmination of people, right? So Dr. Bobby like to define institutions as collective behavior. So when
yes.
we're talking about system, we're talking about collective behavior. So now you go from the people to talk. I mean, you go from talking about a system to the actual people. So when people talking about dismantling the system, they talk about dismantling this thing that exists separate from your everyday white people go to work or everyday black people go to work. The everyday mom and pops who become judges. Uh, yeah. The everyday mom and pops who become judges, the everyday mom and pops who become police officers, the everyday mom and pops who become your bosses. We separate those everyday white people who we associate with from the system, right?
Yes.
We don't think our neighbor is part of the problem. We think it's that far off white man in the Capitol. We think it's that when they were calling the police on you in 5.5 seconds, but
Right.
they're not the issue though. Right? It's not teaching that's teaching your kids white colonial education, humanizing European exploiters, humanizing these people who engage in mass genocide and rapists. Like these white teachers who smiling in your face, humanizing these very people who is the reason why you're in this subjugated state. You don't see them as the problem. You see this far off white person, right? But in order for you to address academia, then you got to say, you know what? Everything you have predicated your identity off of is false, right? In order for you to address politics, you have to say the only reason why the suburbs have money because they extracted it from the ghetto. The only reason why the church have saints and have angels because you made black people the demons. The only reason why you exist in a quote unquote first world country because you exploit the third world. You are what you call the global south,
Right.
right? So you literally have to start over from ground zero. I have to start over. I have to reestablish my entire existence, but so do you. And if whiteness is not ready to completely annihilate its entire existence, as much as blackness must completely be ready to start over and annihilate our entire existence, not sweep some shit under the rug, talking about that's in the past, let's move on. Like we
Mm.
need a tangible solution, then we're gonna keep going in circles. We're gonna be stagnated. Or as I like to say, absolute zero.
Mm.
Show me where there is no progress. I mean, you look like you got progress because you got some cell phones and you got AI technology, so it gives you the illusion of progress. But even that is built off of slave labor, right? The
Yeah.
cobalt in your phones come out the Congo, come out the shit slave labor. So what really changed? You know what I mean? But yeah, so like we have to literally start over. We have to literally redefine what it means to be human completely, or it's going to annihilate both of us. It's
Well,
going to annihilate both of us.
that's true. Latif, you ready? Okay. I, and in that vein, I think that's I think what you just hit on, and Leroy, what you talked to, and and Latif, when you mentioned the interaction, that's what makes me, that's what gets on me in terms of my psyche, in terms of, am I, when I wake up in the morning and I know that I have to go into this society armed for battle, and there's it's not that, we are not having a discussion. When you talked about re-examining what a human is, that's one of the frustrations I have with blackness and ableism, right? It's like, so without getting to the macro and the micro of blackness, whiteness, juxtaposition, just the fact that, okay, since we all moving in a common blackness, quote unquote, then why is it when I show my cripple ass up, I'm not black enough? When did my disability discharge me from blackness? I can't come to the barbecue no more. I can't get no collard greens on macaroni and cheese and pig feet. I can't get none of that no more. But because I have cerebral palsy, or I have a neurodivergence, or maybe what, then I'm gonna shut up. But this is the part that makes me crazy, and that's ableist word, but fuck it, get over it. The If you are oppressed, particularly for black people, if you're screaming oppression and you have any other Islamophobia attached to you, you have negated your oppression. Oh Lord Jesus, they don't like niggas. Okay. I want equal rights under the law. Okay. Fuck them fags. Kind of underlines your argument. Oh, I want the right to do this. I want the right to do that. Them transgenders want to go to jail. I don't want to get shot. I'm gonna be in the whole foxhole. I don't want nobody looking at my booty. Really, these are the levels of intelligence. But again, if you can't see your oppressive behavior while you're being oppressed, it's kind of hard for me to be empathetic to you. Like, I get it, I understand it. Like when black folks talk about the state of blackness in America, I don't think we really had a discussion about how, if you black and you came to this country from the Caribbean, you make a distinct effort not to be called Black American. You make a definitive, fuck you, I'm not Black American, I'm from X. But everything that happens in America is predicated upon the way you look. Nobody hears your accent when they see you, right? Nobody sees your colonialist French accent left over from Haiti or Puerto Rico or Cuba or the St. Lucia. So I'm hoping that once we have this discussion about how white folks can do anything, that we don't revert to, see, I told you they can do it because we know that. But now what? What the fuck are you ready to do? Because you sure the fuck rushed out to elect the same people who wrote the same laws, who kept you oppressed, but now you put them right back in position of power. Right? Latif, you ready? No. Okay. Leroy, you ready?
Well, the thing is like once you step foot in this country, you always have somebody below you. You know?
Yes.
So if you're black and you're from Jamaica, it's like, oh, I'm black, but I'm not American black.
Yeah.
I'm able black, I'm not disabled. The system is made up that way. Under slavery, black disabled people were killed.
Yes.
So no wonder black non-disabled people as less than. Because it was built in from the beginning. And of course we didn't have no healing from that. We be happy that we had the ADA. About the ADA, my own community don't want it. So there's a lack of education, a lack of healing, a lack of saying, okay, we're going to do this right. We spent all these years under slavery, lynching, whatever. We need to re-educate ourselves on what black and disabled is. You look through time, black disabled people saved our ass. From here it comes to all the blues singers that made the music industry and got involved. So black disabled people, saved our ass. But we continue to carry the white master's way of thinking. To this day, you continue to carry that.
It's one of those things, and I'll just say this. Latif, you ready? Okay, just nod your head when you're ready. All right, I got you.
You okay, Latif?
He like Latif is about to lay. I was just waiting because I'm waiting to see the mushroom cloud come off the screen. So just nod your head when you're ready, bro. But I think what we all is saying, here's my beef with the whole beef is this, or my beef is simple. I'm not fucking with people no more. My children get a pass because I have not taught them what they don't know. But that's on me. So if they ask me, Daddy, what is this? It's my job to teach them. But 400 and something years in this land, I refuse to hear a black intellectual or black academia or black anybody who is over the age of 17. I'll be nice to the young kids. Who's over the age of 30, who's like, well, we need to have the discussion. No, we don't need to have a fucking discussion. You're in a land in which the laws are predicated upon keeping you subjugated. Now, have we made progress? Sure. But there is something, and I'm gonna say it again. It's an economy of black rage. How many black history books have we read? How many books have we talked about that explain the black existence here in this country? And none of it is romantic. We have made it romantic because we have been able to forge humor out of hurt, hope out of hell, but none of it is romantic. And even now, we still have exalted black leaders who can't have a full black discussion. You don't even we four black men who openly identify as disabled. We can't get nowhere close to anybody with power unless they go, oh my God, Lateef, you're so special. We would love to have you come to us. And then it's see, we have you. And then it becomes the tokenism thing.
The Keith. But the thing also is that you have people around the system. Okay, take this campaign. I said, you have people clapping their hands because of Biden said we're going to implement the fully fund IDEA.
Kiss my ass, you were in the White House.
People are clapping their hands. He's been in office for 38 years.
Now,
the IDA has been passed since 75.
Now, Leroy.
Like, oh, yeah, that's progress. What? That's progress?
It is progress because Leroy, listen, let me tell you why it's progress. Because he said it. Oh my God, he said it. Oh my God, he said it. And wait. And we're gonna have ASL at our press briefings. And wait, and we're gonna make our websites accessible. Oh my, look, kiss my ass, okay? Listen, everybody wants to show deference to publicly elected officials. Here's the reason you don't get deference. Because if I'm your boss, my job is to be nice to you, kind of, sort of. But if you suck at your job, you don't get respect for being a piece of shit at your job. The last congressional session, they were in session 143 days out of 356. What job do you know you can go work 2 days a week and get all your money? Huh? And Otis, when you were talking about black, it just, you know, people use words like system because it turns it into a thing versus a them.
Yeah.
Right? So it's easier to say we need to deconstruct the system than saying you have a culture within your organization that allows for you to just say, well, I was just doing my job. But you got homeless people. Well, they didn't meet the eligibility requirements. Then 2 weeks later, your ass get hit and you don't meet the eligibility requirements. And now you're mad. But hey, I'm just doing my job. So to go to the point of how do we redefine human, first of all, we have to get to the point where we can say, we agree that you're human. But you know what I mean? Like they don't like all of us on this thing at one point or another has been seen as asexual and not real. Put us in a different century, we're alligator bait. Put us in a different century, we're sideshow material. We're in 2021 and we're still having discussions with black intellectuals about where you fit in the pantheon of blackness. And so, is it our fight? Unfortunately, we ain't got no fucking choice. Right? Like we literally have, I would much rather be sitting here talking to y'all about going to a strip club and the new songs that I did. But I know when we walk out this door, it's COVID or the police. So, fuck, I wish I had better shit to talk about.
And I don't even think the question is it our fight or not? The question is, what is the objective that we're fighting for?
Yeah.
What black Union soldiers was fighting for is not the same as what white Union soldiers.
That's right.
And we get the two confused. We think just because we're on the same quote unquote side, we're on the same war, that we're struggling for the same thing. Now, hold on, y'all.
Yeah. You ready, Lateef?
All
right. Go ahead, Lateef.
Orders is right. Western society is formed on anti-blackness, and it is formed on the invisibility of disabled people. We know how this dynamic affects us, but how it affects white people and able-bodied people.
Mm-hmm.
You see how it affected white people on January 6th. But how it affected able-bodied people, especially able-bodied people of color, okay, let us say black people, We all know that we have people in our community that believes that if we disabled people just work hard enough and be as able-bodied as we can get all of things that society has to offer. They don't realize the structural barriers that we face every day.
Yeah, and Latif, when you said that, well, I think the thing that triggers me is that the conversations we're having and the conversation advocates have and the conversation people who are trying to change have is that the fact that we are more progressive on here than the people who are, quote, in charge of making public policy. And that and the irony is, Latif and us, is that we're not progressive. If you look at what we're asking and what we're demanding and what we're seeking one, that you stop trying to put us in the box before our time. Two, we're demanding that you acknowledge our humanity, just like you are demanding that yours acknowledges, and that you acknowledge and honor our individual choices, just like you want your honor and your individual choices honored. That's rudimentary. Now it gets real complicated when people say, "Well, yeah, but you can't get your own ass out of bed." Well, that's fine, but that don't mean that I don't want to get out of bed. That doesn't mean that I don't want to have sex. That doesn't mean I want to eat. I don't want. And so, humans are really good at being able to be myopic. They suck at being open-minded. And so the struggle I have. So I'm gonna pose it to y'all. Is it a Pavlov's dog response, or is it just an unwillingness for humans to see everybody as equal? Because the dog whistle response to racism is, let's go defund the police and storm the Capitol if you're white or you're black. But for us on the outside, we're like, I couldn't have stormed the Capitol even if I was a MAGA person. I can't get there because it ain't accessible to get into the Capitol. So the reason you didn't see a bunch of disabled people storm the Capitol because there's no fucking ramps to get in it. So, the question is, what do we do? So now, like, what was the insurrection? The insurrection was angry white people at the last gasp of white privilege, right? But for us, what is next? What's next? Because this shit ain't changing overnight. What's next?
To me, I call it a spectacle. Right? I think it's an insult to insurrection everywhere to call it an insurrection. Right? I think it's an insult to revolutionaries everywhere to call it a revolution. It was a spectacle. It was a sideshow. Right? As Keith rightfully pointed out, they was allowed in the Capitol. Right? They didn't have no armed resistance. They was allowed in it. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I say it was a spectacle. I think we need to qualify it as that, right? Because you know how people say, well, they didn't have no protocol to handle this particular situation. That's a lie.
That's a lie.
They just didn't enforce it. That's a lie, right? So you're pretty much, hold on a second, you're belittling the status quo and the standards that you put in place to keep people like me and you doing shit like that. That's what you're doing. You're trivializing it by saying, well, they just didn't have the mechanism.
Yeah.
No, they had the mechanism. They just didn't implement the mechanisms because of who did it.
And that's it, bro. They said so here the numbers: 2,500 Capitol Police on the force. The number of the day of the attempted insurrection, 500. 4/5 of the force were out. So 4/5 of the force is out. Then you have people not wanting to, and because DC is a district and the mayor has no federal authority to protect her city, she has to depend. And they were like, well, we need to vet all the National Guardmen that are at the thing because they might. I'm like, the fuck. Listen, when you got rid of the draft, you went to an all-volunteer army. When you went to an all-volunteer army, motherfuckers was like, look, I'm not dying in your bullshit ass wars. So then you started to do the commercials. Go Army, go strong. I'll be all you can be. Blah 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 blah. Then you got to. But then you started saying we were not reaching our force usage because we had been in over wars and we didn't have enough bodies. So then they lowered the standards of the mission. And here's the part that makes me crazy. There has been a 50 or 100-year history of racism and sexism and homophobia within the military. So why would white nationalism not be in that mix too?
Speaking of that, you know how many ex-military was in that crowd?
Half of them.
I think we really need to talk about what is the military's involvement in maintaining the white status quo. Because you gotta understand, the KKK did not establish white terrorism. They are the byproduct of white terrorism. It was the merchants, the church, and the military that established white terrorism. Your most tax dollars go to the military budget.
Yeah.
So everything you see Trump supporters do at that capital, you are paying to do across the globe.
There you go.
So there's nothing different from them to doing across the seas. And you read Personal, Richard of the Hood, where he talk about the Algerian Revolution and how because France, I think then it happened in Algeria, they used the militia that was on the ground.
Yeah.
They gave them the weaponry, like, look, we ain't got enough manpower to ship from over here to over there. So we just gonna drop guns to the white people that lives in that neighborhood already. So what is the white militia's participation in maintaining the white status quo? We can't keep looking at these things as isolated phenomena. They are all intertwined, they're all interconnected. Right?
Yeah.
They're not going to get prosecuted to the same extent the Black Panthers do. This is why they're not going to get prosecuted to the same extent the Union did. Right? Like this is why. Because they serve a function. They are the byproduct of white terrorism. They did not create it. That's why they didn't here tonight. Everything that we are complaining about will still go on.
Oh, absolutely.
White identity extremist group disappear tonight. Every issue we have with colonialism, with exploitation, with capitalism, with anti-blackness, all of those issues will still exist to the same extent that it doesn't.
Yeah.
I also it's interesting this elder Black disabled Panther. Was talking to me a couple of years ago. She passed away, but she was saying, I don't know why, I don't know how Black people think that the political system is the only power we have. You know what I mean? Because it's the only power we have. Because they have diverted our attention from our community to the government.
Right.
So everybody thinks running for government is power. And we go back to our local communities, it's like our communities are fucked up. The schools are still fucked up. But we just voted a Black man in Georgia, which Georgia has the highest disabled youth in nursing home.
Yes.
For the last 10 years. So
yes.
It's like Black, white, Republican, Democrat, Green Party, whatever. I mean, in Georgia, you have Black disabled youth in nursing homes.
Yes.
So what are you gonna do when you win that election? You're going to Washington, and your 4 years are out, and you're going back home, and still that Black youth is still in the nursing home.
And that, my brother, is why when which is one of the reasons we have this discussion about the insurrection. The insurrection wasn't. Oh, Latif, just nod your ear when you're ready. It's one of those things where you're right. It was an insult to call it an insurrection. It was an attempted insurrection. My bad. Let me qualify that. But when you talk about Black, we only think it's political power. that's not an external thing. That's an internal thing. That's internal in the Black community to think that we don't have, and I, I'll just use myself an example because I know myself. Being a businessman and an entrepreneur and trying to start the little company that I started and trying to partner with Black folks, I get more resistance.
Yeah.
From and I will paint with a broad brush. Black folks, the connections I've made now, I got my people who are Black, and we got it. But that's because they're my people. But in terms of just doing standard person-to-person business, just outside of, I get no love. And it's not because we don't have the twin, it's not because Latifah is a brilliant, Otis is a brilliant, Leroy is a brilliant, Keith is a brilliant. There is that veneer of color struck that Black folks have internalized. Like this goes paper bag test. This goes, as a matter of fact, Latifah, when you started before you started recording, I was talking about the article where the young lady had put out a song about light skin and people were all offended. I'm like, you fuck. Like, what are you mad for? That is America. That's Black America. Like, I'm a dark-skinned man. I ain't been in style since Wesley Snipes did Blade. So, like, dark skin, like that's in us. Like the whole, a girl pressing your hair, getting your straightening comb, getting all of this stuff. That's us. That's us. And all of this nonsense about all the white people, yes. But that Black dude who stormed the Capitol with him, his ass is still in jail. Mm-hmm. Everybody else got out.
Yeah.
Right. His ass still in jail. And so Latifah is one of the questions that because it's, when you talk about it, like, how do you manage to keep a country and do everything that's antithetical to the laws that you wrote and still be in power? Because remember, they literally wrote the Constitution, said the armed insurrection, and then ran up and had an armed insurrection. And now, and I think the report coming out of was it Forbes, that the DOJ is like, I mean, yeah, they was there and they stole some shit and they was set up gallows and they was looking for Mike Pence to hang him, and I know they were making threats and all, but maybe they'll go home and they won't do nothing. This is where we are. So am I mad at the white people for being white? No, because they doing what white people do. But what's frustrating for me is that Black folks like us, or our community, refuses to, one, deal with us as we are part of the community, but deal with the larger issue. It's like, if you're going to be loyal to the Democratic Party, then you need to get some shit signed on in blood. Because right now, everybody knows marijuana is the largest reason we are incarcerated for nonviolent felony offenses, simple possession, which leaves you in jail for 5 to 10 years. You could easily do that, but we're never going to get any of that. So I'm hoping that the insurrection will, I'm sorry, I keep calling it the insurrection. What should we call it? Should we call it going to the, because it wasn't an insurrection. What was it?
The only reason why I call it is Mexico is because Frank Wilderson in Afro-Pessimism, he talks about how spectacles are used to hide the benign operation of white terrorism, which is everything you, Keith, was talking about. Well, Black people will look at the sideshow, and the only thing we'll focus on is the sideshow. Trump being another sideshow, right? And we'll completely miss the everyday workings of white terrorism. So the only reason why I call it a spectacle is to kind of frame it in proper perspective, right? Because what Black people have to understand, in order to understand systems thinking, because that's really what we're missing. We're missing systems thinking. And
Mm-hmm.
we'll see how everything is intertwined, how everything is interconnected. I was telling a friend the other day how if I was a kid and someone showed me how art is connected to policies, right? How they
Yeah.
created political cartoons to vilify black people, and then
Yes.
they created laws to enforce that, right? And then those laws favored them economically because
Yeah.
it kept us out of the economic market. So you go from art to politics to economics, and all of this is interconnected. Like
Yeah.
if I was introduced to this type of understanding as a kid, I might have related to this information a lot better. Like Amos Wilson said, although their information cannot liberate them, their information can show you how they have you subjugated. And
Yes.
in black and white, you just have to read B.F. Skinner. I'm reading a document right now by what's his name? No, Carlos Moore. Carlos Moore, titled "Were Marx and Eagles White Races?" So it's exploring the white supremacist origins of Marx, Karl Marx, and of
Yes.
Eagle that we rarely talk about. What we believe in, we just eliminate capitalism, then everything will be all cool. But I could show you in the Communist Party how they're still perpetuating anti-blackness.
Oh,
But,
but listen. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Latif, you ready? Okay. Yeah. Look at. Hold on. Oh, because you're right. Go ahead, Latif. You're on mute.
oh, I'm sorry.
Keith, let us be real. The forces were not at the Capitol that day because some people in power wanted it to happen. And of course, it was a distraction because the people in this country would do anything to not really look at what this country is and what horrors it is capable of doing.
Bruh. I think it's almost like we need our own channel to like educate because and you know it's not even that people don't know it. The people that we watch and as we debate this, I boil it down to this: people at a base level make a cost benefit analysis. Is it worth the cost personally to myself to be alert and to be woke and to try to dismantle a group think systemic approach to my humanity, or fuck it, should I just go along to get along? We know what the vast majority of people have picked.
Yeah.
And that's and so when you and just using the people who are getting paychecks behind this.
Yeah.
The fact that can have a discussion with Democratic leaders, as I choke on that word, and they're like, well, we struck a deal with Mitch McConnell, aka the self-proclaimed Grim Reaper, and we're gonna push the hearing off because Joe Biden needs his cabinet. I mean, I get all of that, but you are making political decisions based on political outcomes versus Latif's life, Otis's life, Leroy's life, Keith's life, their family's lives. Because the cost benefit is I will retain my power. Yeah, y'all might die a little bit, but I will retain my power. And that cost benefit analysis is ubiquitous. And whether it's the police officer saying, I can de escalate and put my gun down and walk away, or I could be the real cop and go back and be a hero amongst my boys. Cost benefit analysis. It's easier to kill the nigga and be cool with the police union than it is to do the right thing and be ostracized by my boys. That is where we are. That's where we are.
Latif. Nothing. You know, this whole capital thing, it's like what do you call it? And it just like America, we got the next morning, like, oh, I'm gonna go to work. Like, are you serious? Are you serious? The government just said run over you going, oh, I'm gonna go to work. COVID's outside, I'm gonna go to work. This country is like, I just don't get it. I mean, it's like we are robots,
I think what you're dealing with is what you are looking at is people who are traumatized and they have no way to deal with trauma. Because if you remember, we are in a lane, like I ain't never lived in another country, ever. Been to another country, then a guest in another country. But living in that country, people go, oh, you have such a beautiful country. I love your country. He's like, yes, I love to come vacation here. You know why you can vacation here? Because you get to fucking leave. But here, the reason people are so numb to it is because we are constantly in the battle. Constantly. Think about the next 4 days of your life. What do you have on your agenda? Is there anything out of the 4 days that will not cause you to have to reassess the fact that you're black and disabled in America? Just think about it. 4 days. Just 4 days. Pick 4 days. Today is Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. What those 4 days? And there's not a thing that you can think of. I mean, outside of what we just consider just happiness and joy, but our blackness and our disability, no matter how comfortable we are in it, at some point will rear its head in a way that we're gonna have to go, fuck all y'all. Mm-hmm. And that's just that. I mean, think of it. The next, matter of fact, not even 4 days. Take 24 hours. Pick a 24-hour stretch and think about your day. I mean, as simple as going to the store. Mm. That is and so when I talk about the cost-benefit analysis, and when you were talking about it, Lateef, and how you put it, Leroy, how you put it, Otis, about the construct of whiteness and blackness here, it's not that people are fatigued or stupid or whatever. At a certain point, I think we've seen, for the youth, they have hope because they're young. But for the most of us who get up and go to work, like you say, I got to go to work because it's COVID. Because what's the reality? I don't go to work. I can't pay my rent. I've been evicted and lived in hotels with kids. So I know what it's like when you say, I can't make my rent this month. And you literally have to take your entire shit and put it in storage because you have to live in a hotel, not because you can't pay, but because somebody made an arbitrary decision about your humanity. So where the fuck are we in America that you can have a stormed Capitol and the people who are huddling under their desks saying, maybe they didn't do it. That's why people are walking out going to work, because they are watching nothing change.
But the thing is like, under Martin Luther King, that championships and boycott. They boycott that fucking, transition for months. It stopped the whole city. I mean, it stopped everything. They had to change everything. I mean, and that was only, that is not like centuries ago.
No, that was, but remember, Lateef and Otis, y'all remember that? And Leroy, you remember the term slacktivism? Remember slacktivism when they were calling social media activists, like all you guys are doing is running the social media and arguing you guys are being slacktivists?
Yeah.
The irony is that nobody's talking about the fact that, and I would love to run out and be in a Black Lives Matter protest or any of these protests in the street with my mask on. But you fucks are having rallies that are not accessible. Like, you're having rallies that don't have ASL interpreters or cart reporters or inaccessible venues. You're having gathering places at places where 40% of your community cannot get to. 40%. So when black folks talk about being black and we need to change this, y'all need to be woke, and then we show the fuck up and we're still ostracized, then I'm having a real difficult time being mad at white folks, because I know their stupidity. Like I know that because for them it's economics and the fragile ego, but for those who look like us, what's the excuse? What's the reason to not have a Latif or an Otis or a Leroy lead your rally?
Clearly at 54, after you've been through all these protests since the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and you're still, and what gets me is that they get funding to do more shit. It's like, wow, are you serious?
Yeah. Latif, you ready?
You're gonna reach out to me and say, Leroy, can you be a part of Obama's are you serious, dude?
Yeah. Because we need you to give us credibility. We need Latif to be our credibility. We need Otis to be our credibility. We need Keith to be our
After you shit on me, you want me to be your puppet?
Yes, nigga.
Wow.
Yes, nigga. Any questions, nigga? I mean, Negro. I mean, Mr. Moore. Yes, nigga. Get your ass up there and shuck and jive. Now, again, there is no shock here. No shock. Of course. I mean, I'm in my 50s, you in your 50s, and the T's and Otis, I ain't even gonna put y'all that over yet. But think about we're having conversations that black folks were having 60 years ago. Like, think about that. Like, we're talking about a revolution that the black revolution supposed to happen, that we were not a part of. Like, I'm fried around the edges with this fight because I'm tired of having to convince my people that I'm worth fighting for.
Yeah.
While my people are screaming, we're worth fighting for. It's a real fucked up place to be. Go ahead, Latif.
Okay, Latif.
My thing is, this did not go away. This upsurge in fascism will rise its ugly head again, because this country will not deal with its primary contradiction as of having a growing population that is increasingly alienated in this society, and the current order can't deal with this contradiction.
Bruh, say it again. Because, man, that's the truth. Say it one more time, please, for the people in the back.
My thing is, this did not go away. This upsurge in fascism will rise its ugly head again, because this country will not deal with its primary contradiction as of having a growing population that is increasingly alienated in this society, and the current order can't deal with this contradiction.
Bruh. Because in order to deal with the contradiction, they're doing their cost benefit analysis. Shit. If we give Latif full citizenship, fuck. That means he's gonna want to do stuff like, I don't know, live. Like, I don't know, have a house. Get married. If he wants to get married, go to the strip. Like, the cost benefit analysis of allowing people to just be human is real fucked up, because in order for us to gain in their equation, that means they have to lose. And that is so not the case. But if you hoarded 99% of the resources, you fucking right, you're gonna lose something. And so, what was the report that in 20 just came up? Business Insider. In the last 7 months, the 10 richest people on the planet made enough money that they could vaccinate the entire planet.
Yeah.
10 people.
Yeah.
But the psychosis and the psychology of capitalism and racism, Otis, like we had talked about when you talked about how they were entered, you can't separate them. Like the global economy that functions now with the World Health Organization, the G20, the G8, the IMF and the World Bank, all of those are predicated upon the axis with the Allied forces winning the quote the Second World War and setting up that the economic system, which is absolutely a result of the triangle trade and the Eastern slave trade. And money, ironically, is the driver. So people's morality go out the window. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, all these, when Jay-Z opened the largest cannabis company in California, I'm sitting there going, the only reason a black man can make that statement in America is because he's an entertainer. There's no way Leroy, Otis, Keith, and Lateef can go and open the biggest cannabis company in California right now. There's no way.
Well, also because most of his boys are white, So I mean, he's not rocking the boat.
Yes, and that's why. So but I just want to give everybody a heads up. We are at 1 hour and 30 minutes. I'm gonna make my last little comments, and then I'll leave it to you guys to go on back to business. But I just want to circle us back to the topic, and how and Lateef, you let me know, and we'll box it up. But there's nothing that we've said here that people have said in kitchen tables in every black house. I was having a conversation with my friend, make this real quick, about this, and I said, on September 11th, I watched planes hit the towers, right? And I remember that day because it was one of the, like, visually and just weather-wise and like picture it, it was one of the most beautiful days in my life, like in terms of the temperature, the breeze, the scenery. But the fact that I watched on my TV 2 planes hit the tower, I left and I rolled down the street and the guy was handing out the newspaper. I said, whatever you have in your hand is not the news. We came back home, the towers had fell, and everybody was all distraught. Everybody I knew who was black was like, damn. And the next statement was, well, we're not at the bottom of the totem pole anymore. The fact that was the statement, that we now were one step up from terrorists, was quite telling for people who don't follow news like we follow. But the fact that we knew that we were no longer on the bottom, because we knew white people would go crazy over anybody who looked like an Arab, was damning. So to watch what we watched on January 6th, and to see the muted response was just as predictable.
And I want to say, after September 11th, you notice you got Homeland Security that was born out. You had all these Muslims and people of color, hate crime. You had New York police. I think New York police hired like 1 billion new police officers.
Yeah.
Like I put on Facebook, what's gonna happen to the white community? Are we gonna have the same reaction? We're gonna put police in the neighborhoods and cut out their rights like we did to us?
Yeah.
Of course not.
Lateef, you ready? No. All right. Otis.
What happened at the Capitol is not unique. All right, let's not forget about Ted Bundy took over a Capitol building too and got away with it. And again, we go from spectacle to spectacle to spectacle, and we take the obvious. And the only thing that is created out of it is Europeans create entire careers off of stating the obvious, like James Elliott, who's getting paper off of some project he did 55 years ago.
Yes.
Why? Or Robert DiAngelo, who wrote the book White Fragility, is one of the best sellers. But us black people who actually live in this phenomenon have to fight just to get our literature out there on the same level.
Yeah.
I don't want mainstream to touch it, so it's not like I'm asking mainstream recognition. Because the minute mainstream gets hands on it, I understand it's going to work down. But you cannot get your ideology from the very people that oppress you, right? And you have to understand the spectacle and the benign go hand in hand. The
Yes.
people who engage in extreme violence and the people who talk about that extreme violence are both beneficiaries of
Yes.
your oppression, right? The ones who's critiquing what happened at the Capitol is helping the ones no, the ones who invaded the Capitol and the ones who are critiquing what happened at the Capitol. They are building careers off of this stuff. Like
Yes.
I can literally see an entire sector coming from academia studying the Trump administration in isolation and everything else, and then they go ending off with what happened at the Capitol. Well, you know
Right.
how much money is about to be built off of this?
Yes.
We're talking about billions of dollars
Yes.
studying white aggression against black bodies, and the black bodies gonna get left out. Like, do you know how much money these people are generating? These NGOs are generating, studying why black people don't have jobs, studying why black people have the highest unemployment rate. Like, they are literally profiting from your subjugation. This is why when Bernie Sanders talks about, close private prisons, I'm like, but you gonna replace it with what? Private prison is $1 billion industry. You
Yes.
can't just come up in capitalism and say, okay, I'm gonna close this sector down and replace it with nothing. That's not how this works. These Fortune 500 companies are not about to allow you to do that, right? Like these people, Wall Street, who's making dividends off of private prisons and making dividends off of exploited black and brown labor in these prisons, are not about to do that. Right? So what happens is these people sell us these idealistic views of what America can be. But they're not giving you no practical implementation on it. They want to sell you these ideas, right? And these ideas is what's costing a lot of black people their lives. Where you're dying with these utopic views where we just destroy capitalism, then the end of white terrorism, then the end of anti-blackness, then the end of sexism and misogyny. And you gotta understand, anti-blackness and anti-woman pre-exist in capitalism. You can
Yes.
study this back in Greece if you don't believe me. So even if you get rid of this one aspect, you still got these other dehumanizing elements that you have to deal with simultaneously. And what I'm realizing, white Europeans are not trying to replace the system. They are trying to replace us in the system, and the two are not the same.
Yeah.
This is why you get these professors who are classifying themselves as people of color, who are classifying themselves as indigenous, who are classifying themselves as black, and they're benefiting from this status, and they turn around and looking at us and say, "Well, you benefit the most from what's
Right.
that called? Not the status quo. White women benefit more from what's that called? Affirmative action. We
Action.
benefit the most from affirmative action.
Yeah.
Well, look at you. Look at you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah. And one last thing, to the point about blackness being defined by how white people define it. That is why I believe we have to start from completely over and redefine what blackness means, right? Because a lot of the ableism, just like a lot of the misogyny is an offshoot from what we believe masculinity is, what we believe femininity is, what we believe the family structure is in the nuclear family. Like if you want to argue that, I won't argue that capitalism creates racism, but I will argue capitalism created the nuclear family. And I hate to break it to people, but feminism did not break up the black family. Capitalism did.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we can throw that one completely out the window. So we gotta completely redefine what it means to be black, what it means to be human from scratch, from the bottom up.
There you go.
Yeah.
Latif, you ready?
Mm.
Going off what Keith said, America focused on Islamic terrorism for a few minutes, and they went back to black people. And they can't vilify those that attacked the Capitol because it is too much of a mirror for them. So they will arrest the people that did it, but they will leave the wider fascist movement alone because it is too close to what America is.
Absolutely.
And I want to say one more thing. You know, it is interesting that we have Joe Biden that locks black people up, and Kamala Harris that locks black people up, talking about racial justice. It's mind blowing. And people are clapping. People are like, yeah,
Of course.
We're gonna get some racial justice.
I'm waiting for one of y'all. You notice how I said one of y'all to write this. Please, somebody. Racial justice is a misnomer because race is not a real thing. It is a construct. So when people say we're looking for racial justice in America, that means you're looking for the unicorn that doesn't exist. Right? What you should be looking for is justice, and not justice as defined by America, because that means you will never get it. But I love you all.
Thank you, Lilo. So the DJ, you gonna handle the recording?
You're on mute, bruh.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I'm out. We're out.
My dudes, once again, you rock. Holla at your boy.
Peace, family.
Peace,